Hey, Bookie with you live on Indie 88, and we are on the road with the Black Keys. We're hanging out with Dan Auerbach. So one thing that's intrigued me watching the band develop over the years is the evolution of the relationship with Danger Mouse. Now, this being the fourth release, you guys working together. Just explain how it's evolved since, how did you first come together to meet, and how it's progressed over the records?
Well, we first got together, it was, we'd never met him, but he was buddies with Ike Turner and wanted to do an Ike Turner record.
Right.
Was interested in having us write the songs and do the music. So, we worked on that. That fizzled out. Ike passed away. Then he did a record with us as a producer, and that was just more traditional producer band type deal. And then we decided to try to write a song with him when we pretty much wrapped up Brothers, and we said let's try to write a catchy song because it was our sixth album or something, and
Right.
We'd never attempted that.
It was time for one. Yeah.
It was never. We'd never said that sentence. Let's write a catchy song. So we went in the studio and we wrote "Tighten Up" and with him in an afternoon, and it was, the first radio song we ever had. So then the next album we made, we did it very similar. We went in and it was kind of purely a democracy, and he's at this point he's like just one of our really good buddies.
Right.
And it's just fun to make music with the guy.
Now, when you're listening to this record here, it's got such a great, neat vibe to it, and it's a reaction, like all your records have been, but definitely a reaction to the pop sensibility of El Camino. What came first, the songs or the vibe that you wanted to get, that kind of 70s funky soul vibe?
The thing is, we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about Brothers. We didn't talk about El Camino. We didn't talk about this record. We just go in and we do it. And whatever happens, happens, and that's really what happened. With this record, we went in with no songs, save for just a couple things I had, little small things. We would start with a blank slate every morning, and by the end of the day, we'd try to have a song finished. And that was how we worked for about a month and a half.
Wow, okay, and then the question that I have asked her is, when did Gotta Get Away come in? Because when I heard the record, loved the record, and then the last song comes on, and I'm just dancing. It's because first of all, no one's dropped Kalamazoo into a rock song before, and it just was so oddball. It sounded like the oddball track of the record.
It was,
and then it comes to as the second single, and I can't believe that somebody's actually doing what I'd like for once. So where was that in the progression?
That was one of the first songs we recorded.
Okay,
and
really?
That was without Brian. That was just the two of us, and that was almost like a spontaneous moment. That song. We didn't have the song written, nothing. I just sat down, started playing the guitar, and had that little riff. Dun, dun, dun,
very
dun,
Creedence looking out my back door kind of thing.
Super simple,
yeah.
Very simple. And then I just ran through some chords, and Pat played along, and I think that's like the second take.
Right. Oh wow. And then the decision to put it at the end of the record was just to keep the context, because it doesn't sound like the rest of the record.
I wanted it to be on the album.
Right.
Pat was on the fence about it. Brian didn't want it to be on the record. And I understood every opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still liked it.
Right.
I thought it was a fun song, and it was interesting, and it was different for us. And I really liked how naturally it just came out. There was no thinking about it. It wasn't like this long, drawn-out thing, or nothing was intentional about that song. It just happened like that. And so Pat suggested the idea of it being the last song on the record, kind of like a break from, the tempo of the album, to leave you on a bit more of a positive note.
Right. Yeah.
And I liked that, and we agreed on that, and that's how we left it.
And it follows In Our Prime, which is heavy. So,
yeah, sure, yeah.
Now let's just talk to the video about Fever, because the funniest thing, and the inside joke or whatever it was, but you make a fine preacher, by the way. You could be a TV televangelist any day. But the names running across the bottom. So I recognize a few. Your road manager Jim Runge, David Freck, but then Milos Raonic, our Canadian tennis hero, gets in there. So give us a story about how the names came up.
Any one of us, me or any one of us had a friend, we would just throw the name on there.
Right.
But I met Milos down in Miami.
Oh, okay.
Had dinner with him. He's a real nice guy.
Nice.
Perfect hair.
Now, when you're not doing this, of course, your time in the studio is well known, and I want to talk about some of the artists you've worked with, because records I've liked. Let's just start with the Ray LaMontagne record, really popular one at the station. Now, he's a little prickly, just his public persona.
Yeah.
So, what was it like working with him? Is it a good vibe?
He's he has his moments where he's in the dark.
Yeah.
He goes over to the dark side, But for the most part, he's actually, very sweet and hilarious.
And did he want
very dry?
Yeah, okay.
Very
well,
dry.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And but he was great, and we made that record in 2 weeks, and I don't know that he's ever really had such a good experience.
Awesome.
Like by the end of the session, he was beaming.
Right. Okay. And is that the record that he wanted to make going in? Like quite often, what the initial intent was and how things turn out are different, because that record's got a different vibe and it stands out from his catalog. Do you think he knew that going in?
Well, he wrote all the songs. All those songs were like that. Those changes were there. The psychedelic feel was there. So, yeah, I mean, and that's what excited me about making the record too, is because the songs he'd written were so different.
Right.
But they were so good too. They were catchy and interesting and weird. I loved that.
Hey, it's always great to see you here in Toronto. And just before we go, what's next? Can you write on the road, first of all? Because you're going to be there for the next while. How does it work?
I try to, but it's hard.
It's really hard. Yeah.
It's hard. And a lot of the writing I do is kind of in the studio.
Yeah.
In the moment, recording, trying ideas out. Can't do any of that stuff here.
Right.
So, I try my best when I'm out.
Well, keep it rocking, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks so much.
Dan Auerbach, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans. Night.